good evening, good afternoon, and good morning from wherever you can hear me or wherever you are listening to my voice. Thank you so much, Miss Olafemi. So, we're going by the theme of the event tonight, the evolution of music and Nigerian culture shifts. Over the time, we have found it that music influences the way of life. It influences the mode of doing things. It influences everything about our culture, and that is why we as musicians have come together, you know, to look into how music affects our daily activity, how it affects our life, how it affects the mindset, and digging deep into the root of Nigerian music, our own roots. We have seen many evolutions, many change in trends, many change even in worship, in some activities that used to be before and now has stopped to be, or has continued, or has evolved to something else. So definitely there must have been something that has changed along the line that has brought all these changes. So, and really, I'm so glad having Mr. Afe coming around to shed more light about this, because it's something that really needs to be studied, something that needs to be brought to the limelight, so that we can understand that losing an heritage doesn't start from just a day. It begins with a process. It begins with a step. And if not just only music now, if all of these our heritages in different countries, different continents, different tribes or groups, if they are not being monitored and preserved, there's something that's going to occur, and that's what we call extinction. So we don't want to go extinct. We don't want to lose value. We don't want to lose the spice, the uniqueness. And that's why we as an organization, we thought it's so well to bring this kind of webinar together, and enlighten ourselves about all this that we are experiencing. So I wish you all a lovely moment with the Exclusive Music Organization tonight, and I'll be so glad to have your insights and feedbacks after all. Thank you so much, everyone. God bless you. Happy viewing or happy listening, wherever you are. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for that wonderful opening speech, Sam. God bless you, Sam.
Before I share my screen, okay, thank you very much. I'll be sharing my screen now. I'm with Sonoman. If you can see my screen also again, please give an emoji. Okay, sorry. I was at the end of the slide. Okay, all right. I believe every one of us here on this webinar tonight must have seen something in the title that resonated with us. Aristotle himself said, music is the food of the soul. Music is an ancient decree. Music is an ancient mantra. Music is part of creation. Either explicable or not, either we can explain it or not, music is part of creation. And so, no one can have music. Coming to this topic, Nigerian culture of music, evolution and modern position. I believe it's a thing of interest because it is now narrowed, more narrowed down. This is not Africa, not even African culture of music, but Nigerian culture of music. Because that is the very narrowest identity we can give to the largest population we identify with as Nigerians. And we also give cognizance to people of other nationality that are present here, that it's intriguing to find that you are interested in knowing the culture of the peoples of Nigeria. Now, there is music evolution. It means that there is an evolving, there is an evolution, there is a growth. There was a starting point, or there was a previous narrative, and then there are little changes over time up to where we are now. Then there is modern position. That is to say, where are we at the moment? Right, where are we? Where is Nigerian music in the globe and locally? Join me and follow me keenly as we explore Nigerian culture of music, evolution, and modern position. This webinar will not be complete unless we frame the Nigerian music identity. If we are to do a sampling, many of us can relate with Nigerian music as Afro-pop, as Afro-alternative, or as R&B, or alternative R&B. Many of us here, we relate with Nigerian music identity as on the gospel front. Talk of Sinach, talk of Nathaniel Bassi, that was recently, earlier this year, invited to the breakfast, inauguration breakfast, worship session of President Donald Trump, the President of the United States of America. Many of us will think of Nigerian music as a music of perhaps Dusin Oyekon, one of the heavy worshippers of music, worshippers in music in Nigeria. Some of us, however, we think of Nigerian music as a music of Yoruba praise or Yoruba worship. Some of us here, we think of Nigerian music as a music from the South. We think of music like music of Jim Rex Lawanson, which we are still going to talk about in as we go on in this webinar. What am I trying to say? Whatever identity we have in mind is not totally wrong, of course, but a fraction of the true Nigerian musical identity. There is this powerful quote by Fela Showande, the father of modern Nigerian art music, that he made. He said, music in Nigeria is not a luxury, but a necessity. It is life itself. This introduction will make me set a foundation for our music. And I'll be doing that in 3 eras. First, the first era is from 600 AD to 1800 AD. 600 AD not because that's when Nigeria as a people started existing, because I can tell you that back then, even in 600 AD, there was no nation called Nigeria. We only had people. Right? We had the Oyo Empire. We had the Fulani. That. We had traditional people. We had the Kalabari people. The first era was 600 to 1800 AD, where there was no nation called Nigeria, but rather kingdom of people who had overtaken lands and overtaken territory. And the music of that time was strictly ceremonial and is for rights, for religious rights, for societal belonging, for communication. In fact, there is this literature. I cannot pinpoint the name of the particular scholar now. It's either Bode Omojola or another prominent ethnomusicologist, that wrote about how the Yoruba people, for example, use music to correct vices in the society. There is a particular day chosen in the year when the group of singers in the villages, we move around people's houses to correct them or to expose them to the wrong things they have been doing for the past 1 year. So, for example, and for that very day, will have his own bite, will have his own share of that practice. So, music in those times is is highly participatory, highly communal, very, very communal. It's used to bring us together. I'm using this as a window. I use the Yoruba culture as a window into other cultures because Fela Showande wrote in one of the articles he published in 1966 in one of the prominent newspapers in Nigeria then, in Nigerian music and musicians then and now. And that article was where he provided these eras of music or how Nigerians related with music. The second era is 1800 to 1914. Why did we choose 1914? Why did he classify Nigerian music, the second era? Why did he make the window 1800 to 1914? 1914, obviously in Nigeria, was a significant year because that was the year of amalgamation. That was when Nigeria as a nation was divided into protectorates. Yeah, we had the Southern Protectorate, the Northern Protectorate, and the Lagos Colony. Lagos Colony being the seat of power. Southern Protectorate being the seat of power that takes care of the Southwest, the South-South, and the Southeast. Northern Protectorate taking care of the Northeast, the Northwest, and the North Central. And so the incoming of colonial masters that brought about this amalgamation brought a twist to our music. Right. I'm just laying a broad foundation. Very quickly, we'll be glossing over more details of these eras. Now, that time, because of the incoming of Westerners, of Europeans, of Americans, and people like that into the African, what I can call African now, the African territory, the African geography, the African, various changes to our music, various addition, influences, and we will see later on. Third era was 1914 to 1966. That was the year Fela Showande was writing that article. Of course, this era witnessed a lot of culture mix, both intra-cultural mix and intercultural mix, international cultural mix, and local cultural mix, right? So these are the three broad categories or eras that Nigerian music is scholastically divided into. And of course, we can now, as at 1966, if we are to now bring it here, we will now talk of, all right, from like the 1990s. I get to say from the 1980s, because that was the rise of Afrobeat. Up to 1966 was still Nigerian popular music. But from 1970s, 1980s, we started to have the rise of Fuji, the rise of Afrobeats, Fela coming into the picture, Victor Laya. We are still going to see all of those people. We have the rise of programmatic music, nationalist music. And then in the early 2000s, we started to have the 21st century music and, Afro music now bringing the popular elements into it, bringing the alternative elements into it, and so on and so forth. All right, we won't stay too long on anything. We are just traditions. Our music in the pre-colonial era, that's before colonial masters came, was functional and participatory nature. It was functional and had a participatory nature. It was more of storytelling, morality, history encoded in songs and rhythms. I tell you that if you visit palaces, court musicians in most of the kingdoms in Nigeria or states in Nigeria, you go or towns and villages in Nigeria, when you go to the palaces, the court musicians there is a way they embed the history of that rulership, the history of that dynasty. There's a way they embed it into their songs. Even if you don't understand the language, something will let you know that what I want to do now is narrative and storytelling in nature. You hear things like La ya resa, Mama tutun wale, La ya kinikon, La ya lapade, La ya kinikon. They say in the time of Olatunji, in the time of Olapadi, in the time of Aresa, in the time of this. So typical things that our music was doing in the pre-colonial eras. Right? There is a lot of morality. You look at our songs then. I'm sorry, I don't mean to be biased by citing only songs from the Yoruba culture in Nigeria. That's because that's my agency, right? That's where I'm situated, and that's my language of expertise. And my apologies to other languages that are ably represented in Nigeria that I may not be able to sing or cite. Right? So like songs that teach children not to be greedy, not to be gluttons, songs that teach hard work, right? Like a lot of songs like that. Then communal learning and memory sustained by instruments and oral forms. Exactly. Our music in Nigeria in the pre-colonial times involved communal learning, like the example I cited. And sometimes our music is used to teach behaviors, teach the particular habitus, a body of behaviors that be handed down. There was even a Western argument that African music wasn't structured. But then, African scholars like Professor Kofi Agawu, even Meki Nzewi, Bode Omojola. These people are Ghanaians, Nigerians, even South Africans, Andrew Tracy, and like that. These people have responded, and we truly can see the fact that our music is not written does not mean it's not structured. Ask me why. When a child is born, and if the child grows to a certain age, and the parent sees that this child has music affinity, they register that child informally, in the modern day description, informally, and they push that child to that person to start to mentor. They start to mentor that child. The child learns. The child understands the pattern. The child understands what music is needed for which occasion. What music is used for this particular chief in the society. Which music is used for this particular family. And that is why when you see our music in ceremonies, it is highly participatory. Singers mention names of people around and make music with it. it's called extemporization. Extemporization is like saying improvisation, but extemporization to an extent kind of captures improvisation in the African context. Right. Okay, so the colonial interruption and church influence. Please let me see if I hope I am actually communicating. I hope I'm communicating. I hope I'm not talking too much jargon. Please, if you want me to, like, if I'm really communicating and you're getting me, kindly send a love emoji. All right. Thank you very much. Okay, let's go on. All right. So colonial interruption and church influence. Introduction of Western tonal systems, hymnody, and notation. Look at what Fela Showande said in 1967. We have inherited Western music, but we must not forget our roots. I believe these quotes came out of the concern for participation in African music or in Nigerian music in this case. You see, we know of the Methodist Church, Anglican Church, the First Baptist Church, old monumental sites in Ijebu-Ode, in Abeokuta, in Badagry, close to Nigeria, but of course at the border of Nigeria and Benin Republic, the First Baptist Church in Nigeria. And a lot of that, like we have those things are, these monumental sites and locations are traces, are the things that tell us, the things we see, indicators that, at a particular time in the late 19th centuries into mid 20th century, there was a very large influence of colonialism and the religion of the colonial masters, which is largely Christianity. And definitely on the northern front, because actually that's like more of southern Nigeria, then on the northern front, there had been a very widespread of Islam. And this Islam also had a way of influencing their music. I can cite examples. Even that influence flowed right to Kwara State, just at the borders of the Yoruba people. Kwara State in Ilorin, or Ilorin in Kwara State. You see, these genres like Fuji, Sakara, Waka music, those musics, when Fuji is not, let me say, was not traditional. Let me be careful here. Was not traditional music. But right now, it may count for traditional music, apart from when scholars are talking about it. To an average, to a lay Nigerian man, Fuji music is traditional, right? But Fuji actually came as an influence from the West. An influence from the Sahara, from the Sahara region, right? So that's on the northern part. On the southern part, we had church, large influence of the church, and our music started to appreciate, as our traditional music started to appreciate hymns, notation, chants, right? And that was when we had the likes of Samuel Ajayi Crowther translating the Bible, and a whole lot of educated Nigerians, literate Nigerians who started to translate our hymn books in English to Yoruba, to Hausa, yes, to Igbo, to Edo, to these major languages in Nigeria, started to translate them, and the likes of the Baptist Church, the Methodist Church, the Anglican Church, they were the first set of churches that had the Western hymn books translated to the native languages or the local languages. So at that time, the church had great influence on the music in the country. That's why it seemed like music evolved, like anglicized or Christianized music evolved from the church, obviously. And of course, mission schools formed choirs and taught staff notation, shaping modern church music. The likes of Fela Showande, his name is still going to ring the more and more in my presentation because he took time to account for Nigerian music. And of course, he himself being the father of modern art music in Nigeria. I'm still going to explain what art music is very briefly as we go on. Right. So his father was even a bishop. All right. So now we move to the nationalist period and art music. Yes, you can see that's the actual mid 20th century, like in the 1950s to 1970s. If we look at these dates carefully, we're going to see that in the 1960 is in between these dates. And 1960, of course, something definitely led to our independence. If you're with me, please send an emoji. Just want to see. All right, thank you. All right, so we can see that in 1960, Nigeria gained independence, and definitely there was something that led to the independence. That's nationalism. Nationalism is when people, when the people of a particular location, geographical location, or the people that are being ruled are beginning to desire or want their freedom. They want their own rule of law. They want to rule themselves. Right. And so this also, as this was happening in politics, it was also happening in music. Right. So people started to come up. I mean, why should we only sing church hymns? Wow. Is music meant for hymns alone? Do you mean we can't sing in a bar? Do you mean we can't go to a beer parlor and sing? Do you mean if we sing at a birthday party or a king's festival, it's not music? No, you can't just say music. It's meant for the worship of a part of the Christian God alone. So all of these things started coming up, and it started to result in people taking lyrics from traditional elements, lyrics from traditional topics of interest. Right. Talking of popularity, fame, luxury, love of a woman, spending of money, and all of that, they started to import it back into music, and that music started to experience acceptance again. Right? Part of it is art music. Art music gained popularity at that time because Fela Showande had traveled to the United Kingdom, maybe it should be London, to study music. So he had his bachelor's degree in music. And so coming back home to Nigeria, working with the Nigerian Broadcasting Center, NBC, he came home and started to, compose music with the combination of the Western training that he has. So art music is an offspring music. Art music is a music born out of the combination of Nigerian music. Right. Okay, let me say Nigerian art music is a music that combines Nigerian elements and Western elements together. Right. So art music is an offspring of interculturalism, culture mix. This is a Yoruba man, Fela Showande, trained in Western classical music, combining them together. He will combine Yoruba lyrics, for example, use it to compose a song and accompany it with a piano, or put that lyrics in a kind of harmony, right? That shows classical music. Because if you talk about fourth, major fourths, when one is singing on the next part could be singing on fa, right? There are a lot like that. Right. So all of these things, like I said, the interculturalism was promoted by free travels and cultural. And sometimes cultural of African pianism. Akin Iuba was the father, is popularly known as the father of African pianism. That's bringing piano playing into the African setting, into the African context. You are making piano, you are playing notes on the piano that speaks Yoruba, or that speaks Igbo, or that speaks other major languages in Nigeria. Yoruba music plus classical influence gave birth to people like Fela Showande, Akin Iuba that composed art musics. Jazz influence, we have people like Victor Laya, Roy Chicago. These are people who sang high life. The non-Yoruba music meeting classical influence are people like Aduragbemi, Joshua Uzoigwe. These are people on the southeastern part of Nigeria who composed art music for the Igbo people. There's a lot of songs like that. There are a lot of them. I can help with the link sometimes later on to if you really want to explore this kind of music. And then non-Yoruba music with jazz influence, we have Jim Rex Lawanson. These are high life people from Port Harcourt, the Kalabari people. We have Bala Mila. This is a northern person. He is from Plateau State. Yeah, right, from Jos. Right, who composed high life, who contributed greatly to high life music too. Right. So this is like the summary of the nationalist period and art music in Nigeria. Yes. So breaking this down a little bit comes high life. Towards the ending of the nationalist period came high life, juju, Afrobeat, and urban syncretism. Lagos as a melting pot of musical ideas. In those times, if you are not in Lagos, if you are not practicing music in Lagos, you are not where things are happening. Right? You are not where things are happening. That's why it's called the melting pot. That's where things are happening. That's where the money is. Right. Okay. So Lagos was where anything. Okay. Lagos was where everything was happening. Let me give you an example. John Elia came from Ondo State, like he left Ondo State and came to Lagos and started to do music. You know, his high life was very, very melodious, highly melodious. He's a skilled trumpeter. Right. So we have the rise of Juju, King Sunny Ade, Ebenezer Obey. Juju is largely the syncretism. Syncretism means merging. Juju is a direct offspring of a direct genre of music that emerged from the church. And even presently in modern times, Juju is more practiced in the church. Juju is more rendered in the church. And then we have Fuji, Ayinde Barrister. You know, the word of Fuji is so dramatic. There's so much of self-making and political shenanigans in the Fuji world. Right. If you read an article by Oladile Ayorede, Barrister is Fuji, Fuji is Barrister. You will see a very detailed documentation of the evolution of Fuji music in Nigeria. I mean, he's an authority in that field, not just a copy and paste. He researched it for years. He was in the act, he was in the practice. And of course, Afrobeat, Fela blends jazz, funk, and Yoruba rhythms with radical politics, of course. All right, we can see the images, Ebenezer Obey, Ayinde, Fela, and King Sunny Ade. Right. Okay, so popular music, we'll be going faster now. Popular music, you know, evolved in the 1990s to the early 2000s, right? Both on the gospel front and on the secular front. The rise of hip-hop and Afro-pop, Plantation Boys, Style Plus, Yahooze, you know, Two-Face Idibia, you are an African queen, girl of my dreams, you know. Production studios become incubators. ID Kabasa, Coded Tunes, John Jazzy's movie. These are like top studio culture in Nigeria. Actually, they are like the front players, early players at that time. They were the one first set of people who started something like record label studio, like modern studios. And of course, we have gospel music. Gospel music explodes in quality and influence. Obviously, artists like the Midnight Crew that sang I can remember I was very young. We have Tope Alabi. If you can remember when we go to birthday parties, we use Tope Alabi's song to go round chairs. You know that game where you dance around chairs and the first to sit. Then I was about maybe 6, 7, 8. I could remember. You know, Lara George, Frank Edwards, and then, you know, Frank Edwards was is still more recent than the first set of people I quote. Anyways, and then we have Nathaniel Bassey in the early 2000s. Someone's knocking at the door and all of that. Mercy Chinwo too, they are later contemporary. That's coming up later. Gospel concerts started and worship music. The Experience, actually the largest gospel gathering in Nigeria, started to attract global attention and reflect Nigeria's deep spiritual musical culture. Yes, on the gospel front. And even right now, we know that gospel music and Afro and secular, they're almost at par, right, in Nigeria. Nigerian music scene is like a very rich blend of spirituality and, humanity. Our sound wasn't perfect, but it was honest. All right. Okay, let's go on fast. Afrobeat explosion. If you can recognize this image in my slide, that's O2 Arena. You see a lot of Nigerian artists now selling out the O2 Arena, a lot of stunts, you know, one descending with a copter, one coming out from the ground, underground, a lot. You look at, like, the years are there, you can see in the slides. So Nigerian music, as at this time, right, is experiencing a very massive explosion and global recognition, right? You can imagine people like Rema doing, featuring, what's the name of this American artist? Oh, it just escaped me now. This popular name. Oh God, I forgot. But featuring this popular American female artist, you know, his song "Calm Down," and you know when he was even invited to this billionaire's daughter's wedding at India, and the whole of India actually knows that song. You know, so like a lot. Look at Burna Boy. He's doing a lot of concerts everywhere. Plus the fact that he can actually sing, he's a natural singer. Whiskey, Davido, and all of that. Guess what? As beautiful and as influencing as Nigerian music is, even on the gospel front, Nigerians are like going very massive. Look at people like Sina. She headlined the Royal Albert Hall in 2019, an unprecedented gospel milestone. There is no big gospel group or gospel singing group in the US that did not do a cover for Waymaker. Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper. Like, everywhere. Look at the one I mentioned when I started my slide, Nathaniel Bassi being invited to perform. The only musician, the only Nigerian musician at the President Trump's inaugural breakfast prayer. So a lot of international sold out concerts venues like that. So at the moment we are seeing that in this 2010 up to now, or let me say the 2019s up to now, Nigerian music has experienced global recognition and explosion. Yeah, what challenges do we have? We were saying this is the evolution of music in Nigeria and the modern position. So we must talk about where we are right now. Right. So modern positioning has brought also modern challenges. Right. Intellectual property, there's an issue of intellectual property, copywriting, market exploitation. We have all of these things, record label, games, dirty games. We know, I think about last 2 or 3 years, there was a young Afro, I think it should be Afro pop artist, Mohbad, in Nigeria, whose death we could not divorce his death, and all of that. So, and then on even infrastructure, yes, we have presently what we're experiencing are the struggling artists and sold out artists. So that margin is becoming wider and wider. If you are lucky to be picked up by a record label, and then you make it. But if you are not picked, you struggle so much. You pay for your own studio sessions, and you even promote with money you don't have, and you're not sure the song is still going to blow in our local balance, in the way we say it here, when you make it very big. Right. And even the gospel sector is facing tension between ministry and entertainment. So as a gospel artist, you are a musician from the church. Should you be charging money? Are you telling me that the gift given to you by God, you should collect money? And we even have the issue of royalties. Right? That my record label treated me for the past so number of years. They've been taking my royalty from me. They've not been giving me. And these monies we are talking about are running into millions of naira, like multi-millions. Right. Urbanization risks the erosion of traditional music in youth spaces. Exactly. At the beginning of this session of this webinar, Mr. Injalakwan mentioned something, that if we are not careful, if we don't pay attention to our history, our evolution, our originality, our traditional music, that's our core music, and the morality in our music, what makes our Nigerian music moral. If you're not paying attention to those things, erosion of modernity is going to sweep them away. And our songs now, if you look at their lyrics and elements, the songs are making it big. They are songs that, we can question the morals of them. All right. So, what is the future? You see, I put this image here, I said white space. The future here is cultural ownership and education. Like what we are doing now is a very good step to sensitization and awareness. We need to invest in documenting. I, for one, I'm actually working on a project, and I will be soliciting for sponsorship and support, because there is a paper I'm presenting at an international symposium, right, at Mountain Top University coming July, where I'm working on digital documentation of African art music. Is it innovative or futuristic? This is where I want to curate African art music in a way that it will be a one-stop. Right, I can drop my mail can be dropped. We can talk over mail, or maybe my phone number for WhatsApp, if you would love to engage me further on that project. Right, so we need things like that: documentation, music education, creative entrepreneurship, like DMO. DMO is an NGO that is working seriously on how music is well represented in children's life and in the society. We need to start embracing our local languages, our rhythms, our folklore in contemporary context. And then there is something called reimagining. You see that I made it bold. Reimagining, now and later. There's this thing coming up now, old songs, people start to re-sing them. On the secular front, we have people like Shali Poppy that sang this song. See this song from Edo State, Benin. Reimagining means you are bringing those songs in the past, you are bringing them into a contemporary context in a way that will be attractive to the people of now. So it does two things. One, it gives you a new sound. Two, it takes people's mind back to those songs, because people will go and look for the original. I mean the actual local and traditional one. So the future of Nigerian music future. That's why I said now and later. At the moment, reimagining is what is going on. Even Heidi Kabasa, I think Thames, and other musicians are actively working on bringing back old songs in the Afro-pop scene. Look at the gospel. Look at Tim Godfrey and this Nigerian American musician that sang Nara 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 oh Narekele Narekele mo. Look at this song. Look at this Aqua Ibom man on Cross River. Yeah, I think it's either Aqua Ibom or Cross River. You know, Effie. This man that sang Akami Ko Korobon, Akami Ko Korobon, Akami Ko Korobon. So these are old songs that are coming back. They are coming back, reimagining. Right. And then, in conclusion, the Nigerian musical voice is not just heard, it shapes global rhythm. Nigerian music was purely moralistic, functional, and entertaining. Then we came to the second era. Nigerian music became a tool of agency, identity, and self-making. That's the nationalism and the political self-making. Then where we are now, Nigerian music is now a global sugar. We need to value what we have. Somebody usually says something. Can you perform a music better than the owner of the music? Right. As much as we appreciate the influence of classicalism or westernization in our music, we must hold tight to our originality. It is not as a battle against the West. No, it's not a battle against the West. It is a solid positioning in your culture, in our culture. And that is when we can truly represent it to the world. Thank you very much.
Wow. Wow. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you so much, sir. We've learned a lot from this webinar. God bless you, sir. So I want us, if anyone have a question, I would love if we can drop it in the in-call message. Please, let's keep on sending emojis. Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you
very much.
Yeah, so I would also ask if any of us have any questions. Please, we love if you can drop it in the in-call message now. So I'm waiting for anyone to drop their messages. So Mr. Afe, thank you so much. I would love to ask a question, sir.
All right.
Okay, sir. So we're talking about how music from beginning to this era now. So I would love to ask that how has technology impacted the Nigerian music industry?
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you very much for the question, Ms. Awe. In one of the slides, I shared the studio culture, right? Technology had started from way back actually. You know, when we say technology is an enabler, right? Started from the industrial age. Technology has started. We had people, even during colonial, when Nigeria was still under the British rule, there was this ethnoscape. There was this easier way to import gramophones, to import recording gadgets, even though at that time they were very big, not like what we have on our laptops now. Like anybody can just open FL Studio or Logic and start producing, from home. So the technology had started from way back, but it became more compact, it became more pronounced in the late 1990s, right? In the late 20th century, when we now started to develop studio culture. Even the coming of radio broadcasting stations was an input of technology. You don't even need to go and meet a physical publisher again. You have your money, you can give your music online for your music to stream worldwide, and you get your revenue. Thank you.
Yes, it's more of a reflection, but first I would like to thank our speaker today for this very interesting information and the enthusiasm that we could feel from his presentation. Thanks a lot. And I would like to make a reflection regarding the similarities of two different colonialized countries, Nigeria and Mexico. When I was listening, I couldn't help but draw a parallel between the development of Nigerian music and the development of Mexican music. We both had a strong traditional root. However, in Mexico, after 500 years of the moment we started the colonialization from the Spaniards, we have been mixing the music around, and maybe today we don't have this very pure traditional music. Most of our music today is a fusion, and that's kind of logical, I guess. However, the reflections on the development and the clarity that our speaker had in his presentation made me hungry and willing to learn more about Nigerian music. So I would love if he could share some playlists around the chat. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Professor. I'm so glad to hear about that reflection, and knowing that the Mexican musical history and the Nigerian one have something in common. It's intriguing to know. I must say that that's an information I really cherish too. Thank you very much, Professor. Yes, I will curate a playlist, and yes, I will connect with you through Mr. Angel, and then from there we could keep an interpersonal communication from there. Thank you very much, Prof.
Thank you very much, Mr. Afe and Professor Chairman. So to Mr. Angel, sir, do you have anything to say to us, sir?
Can anyone hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, really, I'm so impressed tonight. And can we just give an emoji to celebrate Mr. Afe, Paul? Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It was so insightful, so educative, so direct, so precise. Without mixing words together, without confusion and everything. Really, it was just so accurate. Thank you for the precise information. And I believe it's good that we have just a remembrance of all these things, not just for only sake, but for the sake of being proactive in the kind of music we listen to, the kind of music we do, the kind of music we make, the kind of music we compose, the kind of music we sing, and the kind of music we teach our coming generation. So thank you so much, everyone, for coming around. Mr. German, thank you so much for the insights. It's so good to know, this evening or this night, that even the Mexican music trend, it's more like just like the way Nigerian music trend also has evolved. It's really nice to know about that. And I saw your question in the income message rather. Okay, let me read it out. Someone is asking, does music have a space or relevance in WebTG?
Right. Thank you for the question. Yeah. So if we talk of Web3, the broadest and general knowledge that is all around about Web3 is we talk most likely of blockchain, right? And a centralized, will I call it a unified system, right? That safeguards things very privately. The question, am I correct? So I don't misrepresent your mind. Is that Web3? All right. Okay. So, blockchain, where things are seriously secured. Of course, to me, I believe music has a space there. Thank you very much. I see your emoji now. I was speaking with someone on, one of my friends was speaking with me on the electoral process in Nigeria and says, we all know what to do when we are ready to do it. If we want anything to be free and fair, or we want things to be well secured, let's just use the blockchain technology. And I believe that the security of the future, security of technological properties, intellectual properties, we are still going to evolve to that space where musics are being secured, right? The ownership of music is safeguarded by the Web3 technology. This issue of my music is not your music, I'm the owner. There's this trend, when social media influencers, when they use a song in their skits and the skits blows and the song explodes everywhere, there's this thing of, who's the original composer? You can have 3 people come out and say they're the original composers. But that's where that's our starting point. As a musician in this age, if you leave your music in the public domain, anybody could claim it in the next 70 years, 100 years. But being aware of what we have now, the blockchain technology, secure it. Nobody's going to have the password to it. And at least we can say, yes, okay, you want the original, I have it, I own it. Right. So, thank you very much for that question. I'm going with Darasimi. Thanks. I don't know whether you're male or female, but thank you very much for that question. It's our weekend. I remember, I read an article by Heidi Kabasa. Heidi Kabasa was interviewed in that. That was Heidi Kabasa's interview being written, transcribed here. He said the likes of 50 Cent And this other Sean Paulo, this other American artist were saying that they were the ones that taught they were the ones that developed a lot of Nigerian artists back in the day, like in the late 90s. That they were the ones that did that music. Like, they were the ones who brought them to life. Like, and you are like, Adi Kabasa was like, where did they get that information? Who? How? No, yeah, I remember Afrobeats. Yes, they said they were the ones that developed Afrobeats. Now, safeguarding our music is not, like I said, it's not a battle against the West. It is to have a solid handling, a solid positioning. We have now to say it's our own. We have to safeguard it. How will the sweat of a producer, the sweat of an artist, the sweat of people, and you just transfer the right, because it's not safeguarded, you just transfer the right of ownership. You see, there are a lot of money going into the trade from royalty, but people are not aware that they are supposed to be earning royalty from that money. But some other people are earning it on behalf of them. If you look at musicians of those days, they don't have the money that the people of now have, because their music was not safeguarded. Their music, the royalty was sold to a local publisher. So of course, music is universal, but we need to safeguard it for identity's sake. Thank you very much. I don't know if that's satisfactory.
Need everybody to just drop a review, drop a feedback on the income message. Like everyone, please, right now, like this, just if it's just a shout out, a thank you, an appreciation, or something that stood out for you, something you learned, something you really loved. Why the speaker was speaking, or why Mr. Jama was sharing this one's perspective, or while he was answering the questions, please drop a feedback or drop something you picked up from there. So as we'll be doing that, I'll move straight to our vote of thanks. And really, I'm beyond glad, I'm beyond encouraged tonight. So not just because it's DMO that is hosting this. Not because it's our team that's hosting this kind of webinar. It's just the fact that Nigerians are beginning to wake up. Nigerians are beginning to to get at things and see things the way it should be. Because information is power. Knowledge is key. Without knowledge, without understanding, honestly, we will just be doing things. We will be doing it consistently, but that doesn't mean we are doing it right. So really, I'm just so glad that as a community, as a movement, as a nation, as a group of people in Africa, that we can come together, discuss our roots, discuss where we are heading to, discuss the pros and cons and everything involved in it. And we are moving towards a change. We're moving to the betterment of the culture, the evolution, and the movement of music in Africa. And there's something that says charity begins from home. So we have to start from Nigeria, our country first, before we move and look into Africa as a whole. And through that, we can reach out to the universe and make the world a better place, just as we see a lot of times. So thank you so much, everyone, for coming around. Without you being here, really, it's not going to be as lovely as you have had it tonight, really. And thank you so much for honoring this invitation. Singamon Isola, Professor German, thank you so much. Can we just once again, just drop an emoji, an applause, a love emoji, let's just appreciate Mr. German. He has been our supporter from day one. Last month he was here. I think a few months before now, he was here consistently. He has been always coming around. Thank you so much, sir. And Mr. Obafemi, Somi, for people that know him, call him Sam-based. So thank you so much, sir. I really appreciate it. I remember it was just yesterday night. Just told him about it, and really so glad that you made it. And also, before he left, we have the CEO of Zatiu Company. So Zatiu Company, a company that builds violin, locally made violin here in Nigeria. We build it from scratch to the finished products, with the casing, with everything. So the CEO was around a few minutes ago, just left. Last person, Mr. Isaac Akimobola. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming around. Really appreciate it. And everybody here, thank you so much. Mr. Gilbert, my good friend, is a singer now. Thank you so much for coming around. Mr. Paul Lakman, that's my brother, my elder brother, and is also a director at the Exclusive Music Organization. Thank you so much, Mr. Benga, of our directors to our DMO. Thank you so much. Thank you for all you do. Miss Awe, please can we just give Miss Awe a round of applause? Thank you so much for being our moderator tonight. It used to be Miss Miracle Afeni, but tonight is Miss Awe. Thank you so much. Thank you for the efforts. It's a great one to start with. And Miss Grace Oluwatola, Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Really appreciate you. And to everyone here, I really thank you. God bless you, everyone. So I can see a few messages here and feedback. Thank you so much for everyone that has dropped us. And if you haven't, please, you can just go to my DM on WhatsApp and drop the feedback. I would so much appreciate that. I've dropped Mr. Afes LinkedIn link. You can connect with him on LinkedIn. And in case you want to get a slide, there is a group that we have for these events. Our monthly events. There's a group for it. So you can just message me. Okay, let me drop my phone number in the message so that anyone that wants to message me privately can just do that. Okay. Okay. So you can just message me on WhatsApp. I'll add you up and send the slides to the group. Yeah. So just a quick one before we round off. For announcements, we are having something very big, something like the biggest in Africa. I see that. And it's an anticipate. Just I use the word anticipate. Like it's in the boiling room and it's about to be cooked. So as usual, it will be a conference and a festival coming up August. Please, we need your support. By the time we'll be up with the planning and the strategy and everything, we reach out to everybody here and we beg you and we plead for your support as we have been doing always. God bless you, everyone. So it's nice having you all around tonight. In case you want to connect with anyone, you can just reach out to me. And thank you so much, everyone. We really appreciate you on behalf of the board of directors of the exclusive music organization. I say thank you so much. God bless you. Have a lovely evening. Thank you so much. So in the absence of no other question or feedback, we will call it a night here and see you next month again for another impactful and enlightening session. God bless you all. God bless you.